Hiya, welcome back to the channel, and for the last week and a bit I have been in Tenerife. I love it here. Look at the view, got the ocean behind me, Los Cristianos in front, and today I'm going to show you around Cristianos, the whole beachfront area that leads into Vistas that carries on into Americas, show you around and what it's like if you're ever thinking of coming to Tenerife. So let's have a look around. So this is the main Cristianos sort of beach walk, and there's many different ways to sort of enter this point wherever your hotel or apartment is, and you just come along and go on the beach and relax and enjoy the day. And there's a variety of activities to do, and out of all the beaches here, whether it's Los Cristianos and then over in the distance where we're heading to is Vistas, and that carries on into Americas, this is probably sort of one of the best beaches, you know, nice golden sand, even though it's imported. La Vistas is the same, but as you sort of venture into Americas, that sort of gets to be a bit dark. And I love this area, Cristianos. It's nice and relaxing, even though the apartment that we've been in, there was a couple of nights where it was a bit rowdy, but over the last couple of weeks it hasn't been too bad, to be fair. And there's beach bars throughout the whole of this sort of walk. A lot of them are English, obviously to accommodate to sort of the tourists. But if you venture further back behind all this, you can see sort of some traditional restaurants and bars, Canarian style. So let's have a little look around, show you the actual area, and if you're thinking of ever coming here, what it looks like. And these two sort of restaurant beach bars, ice cream parlours / everything are traditional sort of Spanish run, and they are gorgeous. They have a wide selection of ice creams and the best dessert waffles you will ever taste. Yes, I'm sticking to that statement, I stand by it. They are gorgeous. And just in front of that you've got your adventure trips throughout the day, whether it's tidy, Mount tidy, however you say it, diving, bottom glass tours in the ocean, parascending, more sort of touristy bars, and then more of the same. You've got your sand park, water parks, you've got whale and dolphin trips, hire your bike for the day if you want. And what's cool as well is you've got quite cool cars to hire. I think it's €160 a day for your Chevrolet sort of Camaros. And it's the same for Mustangs as well. If you're ever thinking of hiring a nice car and you want to tour the island and do that, I myself, I do not want to get in a car. I do not want to drive and do that every day of the week. More touristy shops. It wouldn't be Tenerife without Burger King. There are them dotted around the island, and McDonald's, Subway as well. But like I say, if you go past all this that's right in front of you, you actually see sort of like traditional restaurants, which I suppose in a way, for me, it would be nice if they were actually here rather than stuck out the back. So just a tad further along from where I was a minute ago, got some fantastically talented artists here that will do your caricatures, lifelike pictures, portraits. And just in the distance is some more eating places, and just over to the left is where you sort of your more trips go on, fishing trips, dolphin and whales again. And you've got the harbour just there with all your fishing boats, because Los Cristianos is a fishing village, and every year at the end of the fishing season they have a celebration like party and fireworks display, which it's normally around the end of August, so I've sort of missed that this year, but I'd seen that one year, and they have the fireworks on the sea. It's amazing, it's really nice to actually watch. And as you carry on further along, it goes into La Vistas, which we're going to go to now. There's a couple of ways you can get to that. You can carry on around this way, which veers over to the right, and then you can go underneath the bridge, or you can cross the road and go over that way. Or, as I'm going to do now, one of the nice things to do is just take in the sights and the views and walk along the pier. So I'm just coming off the pier, and as I've said, I've come all the way along there, and there are a couple of different ways you can get to La Vistas from Cristianos, and one of them is to cross over the road or go underneath the bridge, which is just you follow sort of that around over there, over by those cars, and that leads underneath the bridge, which goes underneath the road, and you just pop out the other side. But I tend to always come on the pier, have a nice look at the view, and then carry on into La Vistas. And it's pretty much more of the same. Beach bars, nice views, nice golden sand beach here. So let's have a little look at La Vistas. So like I say, there's many different ways to get into La Vistas, and like I say, you can go underneath the bridge, which brings you out here into La Vistas. And this walkway, I recommend sunglasses, because the type of stone they have at this section, it don't half reflect. And if you've not got no sunglasses, no matter how used to the sun you are, I do recommend it. Otherwise you're just squinting all the time. More beach bars and touristy shops, more adventure and excursion days out there that you can book. There's a few fishing boats out, a ferry sort of coming in, and this is another one of the lovely beaches in La Vistas now. And in the distance it carries on all the way around into Las Americas. You've got some lovely shops. You take yourself out the way of the beachfront in Americas. Some lovely eating places at night time. So you join me just a little further along in La Vistas. Now if you look up here, at the night time, all these sort of places up the top are eateries, but a lot of them are clubs, and actually traditional sort of Spanish clubs. You get a lot of sort of the local music going on. So if you fancy sort of, rather than just club it in Americas, which a lot of Brits tend to do, if you want sort of local nightlife and hear the type of music that they like, these are the places to go to up the top. All sort of beach bars that getting you to come in. So I do recommend that if you want a bit of the local nightlife, rather than just what a lot of people tend to do, and that's just head straight into Americas, and it's more or less back home, but with better booze, not so cheap on the shots, as in portion wise. And one thing in mind if you're watching this is, if you have seen like the Ibiza Uncovered, Magaluf Weekender and all that, you want to check out Tenerife Uncovered. That was one of the very first sort of like party sort of club beach shows that were on, that give you the island life. And that was in the, I'd say, late 90s, early noughties, hosted by a Radio 1 presenter, and if you remember her, Elisa Ianson, who presented that show, and I think it ran for a couple of seasons, but check that out. So just a little bit further along again on the La Vistas walk, come to some more beach bars, local ones this time, and a McDonald's. And just in front we've got the La Vista shopping centre, so we'll just have a little look up in that, show you some of the shops. It is more sort of touristy shops, clothes shops, ice cream parlours. And off, sort of, if you can make it out, 'cause it's a bit hard to see on this LCD screen, that's a bit better. In the distance there is your sort of walkway to the nightlife in Americas, but not club life, it's more sort of restaurants and a gorgeous hotel. that has its own theatre and entertainment of a night time. You'll see the front of that in a bit as well, that theatre that I'm talking about, as we carry on round. Got plenty of ideas if you want to buy your family, friends or loved one presents, though I'm struggling to find someone something. Nothing's sprung to mind yet. Got different entrance points and exit points that you can come into this, and the shops all around. If you fancy a little nose in the day of getting yourself something, and I thought to myself the other day that I don't know if many people do this anymore. Postcards. Whoever remember sending a postcard when you're on holiday for a couple of weeks? No one does that anymore, do they? It's just texting and WhatsApping and Facebooking. That makes me sound old, doesn't it? More restaurants and tourist attractions just down there. And then, like I say, just a minute ago, if you sort of come up this way rather than the route I've just taken, you avoid the shopping centre and you can walk along that route that takes you sort of out of the way of the beach front, and you get all the shops and restaurants just along there. So let's go back to the beachfront and show you more as we head into Americas. So, as I've come past Playa de la Vistas, which is just in the distance there, you sort of walk sort of through a little sort of like a sort of area where you've got loads of sort of like beach bars again, and there's not really much to see there, and this sort of brings you out onto the beach of Playa de la Camison. I hope I'm saying that right. And then that leads into Las Americas, and you've got another lovely beach here, which is there's not as much length to this width to this beach as there is in Playa de la Vistas and Los Cristianos. I've got to watch my battery as well, so I realise that's going low. And I was saying earlier on, is the hotel that's got their own theatre, and we're just coming up to the front view of it. There's lots of hotels, obviously with sea views. There's one just there, you can make it behind those trees, can't really see it to be fair. There's the end of it there, and then after that you got the hotel, like I say, with its own theatre. I think it's something Cleopatra. It's 4 or 5 star. It's a lovely hotel, that is. And if you're eating in a night time, opposite, you've got the main eating sort of place that a lot of people tend to go to. You've got Harry's Bar, got loads of Indians, loads of steakhouses, Chinese, Mexican, Thai. So that's that hotel just there with those sort of like balcony views. So let's carry on round further on into Americas, and I'll show you the Veronica strip that's very famous for nightlife and was featured in Tenerife Uncovered. So I'm just admiring this lovely sea view, and I'm just stood on one of these rocks, and this carries on round into Las Americas. I was just in Camison, I think I'm saying that right, and this carries on all the way around, as all of it does throughout the whole of Tenerife. can sort of walk the whole beach from whatever point you want to start out to whatever point you want to get to. And this carries on round into Americas. So let's have a walk along here. So I've just come from over there in the distance all the way along here, which brings me to the start of Las Americas, and it goes all the way over there. It doesn't carry on round that way. If you carry on further over there, you end up in Costa El Dequi. But we're not going that far today. We're just going to stop at Americas, and it carries on all the way around to the very end. And I'm not sure what's after Costa El Dequi, but this is sort of your start of Las Americas now, beachfront wise. Some lovely hotels. I'm going to have a little bite to eat, and then I'm going to take you into the centre of Americas and show you the Veronica strip in the daytime. Not very seen much in the day, more so at night time. So you'll join me in a minute in the Veronicas. So here we are, just above where the Veronica strip starts, and I think, if I'm right, it's called Veronica's because of the sort of strip club that sort of started it all off. I think, don't quote me on that, but this is where the Veronica strip starts, and it would be sort of quite interesting for reference point to actually go and look, like I've said, at Tenerife Uncovered, to sort of see the difference in clubs to what's here now to what was like, well, over 20 years ago. And it carries on all down there, which we'll take a look at in a minute. And over here is one of the biggest ones in Tenerife. It's still here. I think it's Tramps. I don't know whether I'm in the right section of it. It's just to go and have a look. And that was still around when Tenerife Uncovered was on. Rags as well. There's a couple. You can make it out, but it's underneath that. You can sort of slightly see it, Tramps, and then down below you've got Rags, and there's all bars all up there. There's a new nightclub there now called the Lava Lounge and Bar. Carries on all the way up there, all sort of like different bars. So let's cross over and have a look at what's here. One of the main two nightclubs that were very popular back in the day when that show was on was Bobby's and Busby's. Now I'm going to have a guess at where they used to be. I'm pretty sure I can remember went into them. I was still around in the early to mid noughties. I don't know when they stopped. So here we have the actual strip club, Moulin Rouge, and then the first one we come to is Revolution. Jumping Jacks, that's still here, that's been here years, that has. And there's more up above. Sugar Reef, Tenerife Club. Don't think this is something that you get to see very much in the daytime. There's bars up and down below. All the different type of ones. This is more sort of sports bars and eating places now. Busby's and Bobby's were right next to each other, and I've got an idea of where I think they were. It looks totally different in the daytime, which I think most places do. Right, now, here we have Envy Cocktail and Lounge. Now, if I am right, we got Brannigan's Irish Pub That was where Bobby's and Busby's used to be. Let's go up and have a look. I don't know whether it's just derelict now. See what it actually is. I think it's all been taken apart. Yeah, it's nothing, absolutely nothing. One used to be Busby's and one used to be Bobby's, and obviously it's all been taken down, which is a shame. They were two really popular clubs, but them were the days, eh? Now it's just nothing. Not really much to see at all. So check that out for about the 6th, 7th time that I've mentioned it. And then we end the Veronica strip, which to maybe a lot of people that are looking at it now probably ain't much. It's just the same as any other European holiday. Magaluf, Ibiza, Greece. Each of you have your own preference to what you prefer. I don't really come here, to be fair, over night time. I just love chilling out and walking the beach and doing different activities, even though this holiday I haven't really done much. And then we come to the end. I'll show you a bit of the Americas beach. I've been through all the different areas, and we come and end it at Americas. It carries further on, but you sort of get the gist. Oh, we finally have one. They've stopped doing them in Cristianos, but we have the sand sculptures. They don't allow them for some reason. It's the first one I've seen all holiday. Just have a look. You actually have to pay a license to do this. But back in Cristianos and all the way to here, the police deem it begging, even though they have to pay for it to actually be able to do it. That's beautiful, that is. So it carries on further along with your sort of dark, sort of grey beaches, and it carries further on into Costa El Deque. So there you have it. That's my tour of the beachfront leading from Cristianos all the way into Americas, which is just behind me, and the Veronica's is just sort of behind me there. So I hope you've enjoyed that video, and let's just give you a little look at what Tenerife is like all along the beachfront, and I'm sure there are many videos out there. I've just expanded a little bit more detail. So thanks for watching today's video. If you have, please like, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time.